For more on all this, we're joined by CBS News chief political analyst John Dickerson, who knows all things politics, and CBS News contributor, that's Ashley Etienne, who's also the former communications director for Vice President Kamala Harris. We thank you both for being here. Ashley, I want to start with you as someone who knows Kamala Harris very well and is in contact with her and her team. How do you think she's approaching this moment?
Well, I've heard from her team. I just met with them yesterday, in fact, that she's incredibly focused, more focused than they've ever seen her, that she understands the importance of this moment in the arc of not just telling her story and what she's been able to achieve, but where she wants to take this nation. You know, in my conversations with them, they said that she's going to tell the story of the Kamala Harris that I know in those rooms, someone who sees people, who has a compassion and a care for the plight of the American people, and how she spent her career fighting on their behalf, and how the choice in this election is who's on your side and who's not, who's going to move us forward and not take us backwards. And that's going to be her greatest contrast against Donald Trump.
Yeah, we all hear about that, but I think for so many people, they feel they don't know her.
Sure. Yeah. So I think she's going to, I mean, a huge chunk of the speech is going to be biography. And that's been woven throughout this convention. And it won't end at the convention. We will continue to tell, the party's going to continue to tell the story about who she is. But I think she's going to start with, you know, her first days, her first memories, being in that stroller, fighting and marching for the rights of all people. And that's her very ethos.
You know, it's been pointed out there is no policy section to the campaign website. Now, I think people would be suspicious if she rolled out thousands of pages of documents, you know, who wrote those. However, is it time for her to put a little more detail on the proposals? Well,
I mean, I think we have to be fair to Kamala Harris and the campaign. A, it's only been 4 weeks, but B, she rolled out a huge economic plan last week, you know, an opportunity economy for all. Tax cuts for the middle class, continuing to fight corporate greed. So there's been some policy that's been laid out, but we'll see over the course of the next 70 some odd days, more and more policy.
John Dickerson, it was clearly, though, Tim Walz's night. As great as all the speeches were, we were here to hear Tim Walz and make his introduction. How do you think he did? He was a huge hit in the room. How do you think he did?
Well, that's the first thing. You have to be a hit in the room. You have to do no harm. He spoke for a short amount of time, also very smart. You don't want to upstage the boss. But the tableau of Tim Walz is what's so useful for the campaign. You know, everybody's got a school teacher or a coach in their life. My mother-in-law's father and brother were both school teachers, and at their funerals, the line stretched around the blocks. People know that relationship, and so, you know, at a convention, you have to display a person at the top of the ticket who has command and can step into that commander-in-chief part of the job. But you also have to have some notes that touch people in their lives, and everybody has kind of a Tim Walz that they know, and that's helpful when you're basically making the case, we will have you in mind when we put forward these policies.
John, the language of the speech was also really fascinating because he talked a lot about small-town values, which lately has been associated with Republican politics, but he put a Democratic spin on it. He said it's about loving your neighbor, but also minding your own business. Talk about that.
Yeah, well, first of all, the loving your neighbor. What I think is interesting, and this is contrary to what Senator Vance was saying, is I think the Democrats have tried in various ways to scalpel away Donald Trump from his supporters. Look at what the Obama message was. Show grace to those people you disagree with. Bill Clinton made that point. Oprah made that point. Tim Walz made that point. In other words, extend the family of possible voters, but also just the human family of America. The mind your own business part is a part of what the Democratic Party is trying to do, which is take the word freedom, take the word away from Republicans who have normally talked about that freedom in the Republican case from government intruding in your life. So we'll see if it works, because there's nothing more appealing if you can sell it to the American people than the idea of freedom.
I've heard, you know, mind your own business is effective really in most things in life. A lot of sports metaphors last night. I'm trying to figure out what a 4x4 is. I'll figure that out.
It's a 44 defense.
Oh, see, I don't even know. 44 defense.
44, okay. A 4x4 is a car that you drive, get to the football game to watch the 40 defense.
Or I thought it was a big board to whack you out. But listen, I'll get it together. John Dickerson, Ashley Etienne, we thank you. We thank you both. We will have special coverage of Kamala Harris's headlining speech later tonight. And of course, you can watch our streaming channel, that's CBS News 24/7, and in prime time, that starts at 10 o'clock Eastern, right here on CBS.